Welcome to After the Flag, where a boyhood dream has been realised at the Spanish Grand Prix this afternoon. The dream of Alex Marquez. The Marquez name has been up in lights for a lot of 2025, but today in the Spanish sun, it is Alex Marquez's day in the sun. Well, welcome to you, Suddaby, Jack Appleyard. We're going to pick apart everything that happened in that Spanish Grand Prix, and quite a lot did happen, particularly in those early stages. Alex Marquez, as mentioned, is a MotoGP winner. Before we pick apart some of the key moments of the race, I don't think there's a single person in this paddock that won't be happy for Alex Marquez today.
No, nor should there be as well. Alex is genuinely one of the nicest guys on the grid. He's incredibly warm and welcoming. Whenever you walk into the room, he'll always ask you how you are, and as a result, I think everyone is pleased to see Alex Marquez finally realise that dream. And above that as well, Lewis, was just the raw emotion that we saw inside the box once he came across the line, then in Parc Ferme as well. This sport so often is about bravado and who can be the most macho, but it's these moments where the emotion strips all of that away and you genuinely see that it's just a human going out and being able to achieve something that he's dreamed of all of his life and doing it by the people that love him most, and that at the core of it is very, very special to witness.
Didn't come easy to Alex Marquez. He had to work hard for it. The podium was completed by Fabio Quartararo and Pecco Bagnaia. Quartararo bringing Yamaha back to the podium. Your rider of the race, as voted by you, is now speaking to Matt Burt.
Yeah, what a weekend it has been for Fabio Quartararo here in Jerez. His first pole position in 3 years, yesterday with that incredible all-time lap record, and today his first podium in a Grand Prix in 2 years. Fabio, what an incredible weekend for you and Yamaha. I guess it's kind of hard after all these tough times you had over the last couple of years to kind of really put into words how you're feeling right now.
Well, feeling on the moon, to be honest. You know, not only for the podium, but the moments we live this weekend with the team, with my crew, with my family, friends, was amazing. Especially make the pole position, lead the race since 3 years now, make the podium, so was nice. Gracias. And yeah, you know, fighting with these guys now is something that I totally forget, and is a great feeling.
How was it? I mean, I think we checked the stats. It might have been the Sachsenring 2022 was the last time you actually led a Grand Prix. You briefly led the sprint yesterday. So, having been so long, I mean, how was it just in your head and managing that part of the race?
You know, in the past, when I used to win races, I love to be at the front and lead the race, and this is what we have done today. But the pace was not good enough to keep the first position and be fighting with Alex. But you know, I think, like I always said, we have to be step by step. And already I think we have skipped some during this weekend because we have not achieved really one top 5. We have been straight from a great result, but straight to the podium in second position. So we have to stay calm, especially for the next races. That the results, if the results don't come yet, we have to be ready to be a little bit on the back, and why not live again the same GP.
You led those first 11 laps. Alex was super strong today, and it was always going to be very difficult once he passed you to go with him. But then you had another big challenge, keeping Pecco behind you, which is never very, very easy for that, well, pretty much the whole race. But he never got a chance to even show you a front wheel. So how was that part of the race for you as well, Fabio?
You know, having the two-time world champion in the MotoGP in the back at 05, 05, 06, 04 was really difficult. But you know, in the past is where we were always strong, keeping the guys in the back and try to make no mistakes. But especially today, I was really close to my 100% every lap, and did just a few mistakes, but not so big.
Just finally, Fabio, today, for the very first time in MotoGP, the fans at home watching the race have been able to vote for their rider of the race. And I'm delighted to say you've created a bit of history, because you are, for the first time, the rider of the race. I mean, how does that make you feel, knowing that the fans watching at home really love what you did here this weekend?
Hey, thanks to them. You know, it's really special, especially because, and I hope that the people see that we are having some difficulties with our bike right now, but inside with my crew, with the engineers, we are never giving up. And you know, it's always more easy when you are winning to go at the training to push yourself to the maximum and be at your 100% when you're having a tough time and you know that you are not going to win, every weekend is difficult, and pushing ourselves to the maximum has been a challenge, but thank you to all of you.
And I'm sure Le Mans promoter Claude Michy just as happy as you, Fab, because I'm sure there's still a few more tickets now sold for Le Mans in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, I'm super happy to make this podium just before Le Mans. That is my home race, and it's going to be super special also because it's a track that I like. Many fans, home GP. Will be also some nice liveries there, so we're going to enjoy it.
Fabio, it's awesome to see you back where you belong. Well done, great weekend.
Thank you very much.
Forward to whatever liveries Fabio Quartararo has for us at his home Grand Prix. Certainly expectations might have been raised a little bit for Fabio Quartararo and his many French fans. And for all the thousands of you that did vote for Fabio Quartararo as the rider of the day, I don't think there's any argument from me.
Yeah, I'll let you in on a secret, Lewis. I was one of them as well. I scanned the QR code and I went and voted for Fabio Quartararo because that was brilliant.
Yeah,
today.
there's two sides of it, isn't there? There's the Yamaha story and the Fabio Quartararo story. Of course, they're intertwined. But we worried, I guess, after the first few races, whether we'd been kidded a bit by Yamaha's pre-season form because they didn't necessarily live up to that in Buriram. They didn't live up to that necessarily in Argentina either. Low grip circuit in Argentina certainly didn't help them. But the Yamaha clearly is competitive. But if Yamaha are going to get back to the top of MotoGP, they need a world-class rider. And with Fabio Quartararo, they've got one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what have we been saying on the show during the opening 4 Grand Prix of the year? Just be patient, wait for Europe. And we're convinced that Yamaha, from speaking to people within the camp, that once we arrive there with circuits that offer that more natural grip, that they will be able to show that promise that we saw in pre-season. And lo and behold, this weekend has been by far and away the standout weekend for them this year. Pole position yesterday, which I still think was more impressive than the podium today. That was out of this world. But the manner in which he clung on there, leading the race for so many laps, above everything else, will put smiles on faces down in Yamaha. It will please everyone back in Japan. It'll please everyone at their European headquarters in Milan that these big changes that they've made, they've put a lot of trust into the hands of Max Bartolini. There was a big overhaul throughout the winter months by Lynn Jarvis stepping to one side and retiring, Paolo Pavesio coming in as well. There's been wholesale changes over the last couple of years, but they're working. They're going in the right direction. And Max Bartolini is a name that we're going to get used to saying. That there's one genius who's just managed to take Ducati to matching the greatest ever streak in the history of Grand Prix motorcycle racing in terms of consecutive victories. Well, Max Bartolini fell from the very same tree from Gigi Dall'Igna, studied under him for so many years, and he's putting all of that know-how to great use because that M1 clearly this weekend was the second best bike out there.
And it's now second in the World Championship as well, second in the Constructors' Championship. Yamaha lifted themselves up this afternoon. If you're being particularly mischievous, you might say, who needs a V4, eh? But the inline 4, still plenty of life in the inline 4 just yet from a Yamaha point of view.
They say that might be a little bit of a step forward. It might be better. So watch out, Ducati. Yamaha really are coming. Yeah,
watch out for a Yamaha wildcard later in the season when we may see that V4 debut. No time frame put on that just yet. We'll veer away on a tangent if one of the top 3 is ready to speak to us. We'll hear from Alex Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia shortly. But let's go back to that first lap of the Grand Prix. Absolutely extraordinary action. Of course, we'll hear from Alex Marquez shortly. He very nearly wiped out both of the factory Ducatis before we saw some more explosive action between Bagnaia and Marc Marquez.
Well, it's what we've been waiting for all year. As soon as it was announced that Bagnaia and Marquez were going to team up together, we knew that there was going to be fireworks, and we got it on the opening lap today. I'm sure that Davide Tardozzi was watching it through the slips of his fingers. It was almost a rerun of what we saw 12 months ago here. And you have to say that these moves by Bagnaia rattled Marc Marquez. They, without question, disrupted his rhythm, forced him to go to plan B. And then, for me, that is what caused the crash. We spoke to Tardozzi on the grid, and he said that Marc's huge advantage this weekend so far has been the fast left-handers. Turn 4, turn 7, turn 8. And you can just see on the onboard how much time he was gaining through turn 8 there, trying to close in on Bagnaia before trying to, I imagine, make the move that he made a couple of times last year into the right of turn 9. But he went over the limit. This is a very different crash to what we saw in Austin. In Austin, he held his hands up. We've seen from the replays, it was a lack of concentration. Things were coming too easy for him. Today, he was pushed beyond the limit by Bagnaia, thanks to that opening lap duel.
12th place in the end for Marc Marquez. He did come through to score some points. Not enough, though, to keep him in the lead of the World Championship. He is 1 point behind his younger brother, Alex. Take nothing away from Alex Marquez. He thoroughly deserved the victory here today, but we've already said on one occasion, that occasion was Austin. The only rider that we felt could beat Marc Marquez was Marc Marquez himself. Did Marc Marquez beat himself today, or did you feel those were forced errors?
Forced errors, I would say. You look at what he's been saying throughout the weekend, and yes, he won the sprint yesterday with absolute ease, but he wasn't fastest on Friday. He was making changes to the bike late into the day. Tardozzi, again, said on the grid the swap from the softer compound rear tyre to the medium will deliver a very different race, and that's what it did. Alex has done a lot of work on that because he didn't really get the chance to work on the soft too much, given the crashes that he had on Friday. I'm convinced whether Mark will come to the media and hold his hands up. Sometimes he's honest, sometimes he's not. He plays the game as well as anyone. Whether he'll come out and say that opening lap battle with Pecco did disrupt his rhythm and did force that crash out of him, we'll have to wait and see. But for me, if he'd have led the opening lap and had managed to get the bike stopped into that opening corner, because he very nearly crashed there as well. He just never looked settled on that opening couple of laps at any point. If it would have gone his way, would he be making that mistake? I don't think he would. I think he was forced into it, given how the race had panned out over the opening couple of laps.
Which left us with that group at the front of the race. Fabio Quartararo leading until the start of lap 11 when Alex Marquez made the move. Pecco Bagnaia was in sort of close attention too. He was running in third place, but we saw very quickly, once Alex Marquez had gone through on Pecco Bagnaia, he was able to pick his moment on Fabio Quartararo and immediately pulled clear. He was able to make those key moves where Pecco Bagnaia wasn't. Yeah,
and it makes his performance even more impressive, given the fact that Alex has been through a far from perfect weekend. 2 crashes on Friday. One of them was huge and was feeling extremely second-hand yesterday. So the manner in which he's able to put that to the back of his mind and come out and deliver that performance today, just incredible from Alex.
Let's get some live reaction now from Marc Marquez. He's speaking to Matt.
Yeah, Mark, a real day of mixed emotions for the Marquez family. We'll talk about Alex's incredible victory first, but let's talk about you, Mark. I guess that's a real tough one to take.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mistake, and we need to learn about it and try to avoid for the future if we want to fight for the championship. We have a lot of speed, but one more time, Austin, I understand why I crashed. Today, still, I don't understand. I need to analyze because I was not attacking. I was cruising just like I did the first races behind them because I know that the second part of the race is my strong point. But okay, it's like this, and we need to accept.
Before you've spoken to the team and looked at the data, I mean, what do you think happened? I mean, do you have any kind of explanation?
No, just maybe I didn't check on data, but maybe was maybe 1 degree more angle. I don't know, but it's true that I was behind 2 riders, and maybe was the first time in the weekend that I was behind riders, and then maybe the bike changed a bit, and yeah, I didn't think about it, and then for that reason I did the mistake. The important thing, the speed is there, and but we need to avoid the mistakes.
Yeah, the speed is clear there. I mean, even with a very damaged motorcycle, you had pace that was clearly good enough to win the race. I mean, does that make it more frustrating for you, Mark?
No, it makes me happy. I mean, of course, if you don't have the pace and you crash, then you say, okay, now I have two things to fix, the crash plus the pace. The pace is there, but just we need to avoid the mistakes. Of course, the second part of the race was my strong point. But yeah, try to learn for the future. Inside the drama, we are 1 point behind the leader. That is the most important.
Big early fight with Pecco. How much did you enjoy that, and how did you see it from your point of view?
No, it was a good one. It was in the first lap. Everybody knows that it's super important, and here in Jerez we had a small contact between 10 and 11. But yeah, part of that was a good fight, and yeah, unlucky we cannot continue until the end.
And let's just talk about your brother, Alex. I mean, what a day for him to win his first MotoGP race right here in Jerez. I know you're super proud of him. You always have been, Mark. So to see him win, the Spanish Grand Prix. I mean, that must take away some of the pain for you today a little bit.
Yeah, it's the only thing that today, for that reason, I have a small, but I have a smile. And I'm super happy and super proud about him, especially because he worked super hard to win a race in MotoGP. Was one of his targets of his career, and he won the race. He's leading again in the championship. He's riding in an amazing way. So proud of my brother.
First time in history, two brothers have won together in the MotoGP World Championship. Mark, we'll see you back stronger in Le Mans. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and thanks very much for Marc Marquez fronting up and speaking to us. What must be a very bittersweet day for him. Of course, the bitterness of having lost a victory. And you could see, I think, with his first answer there, he was really sort of choosing his words carefully. He was gutted with how he'd let a potential win slip through his fingers. But no one will know how hard Alex Marquez has worked to get to this point more than Marc.
Yeah, absolutely. Marc, unsurprisingly, given the fact that he's the older brother, but he's always been the strongest advocate of Alex Marquez. He's always been his biggest fan, and like he said, there's a small smile there today just because he's been able to see his brother realise his dream. But I think that smile may change over the year, because I have to say, even 2-3 rounds in, despite the form that he was showing, I wasn't convinced that Alex Marquez was a championship contender. That's changed today.
Yeah, because Marc Marquez said himself there, we need to cut out these mistakes if we're going to fight for the championship. Clearly, Marc Marquez is going to fight for the World Championship, but you would look at this season from a distance to say Marc Marquez has dominated it, and we're 5 Grand Prix in, and he's not leading the World Championship. Yeah,
1 point the difference now between the pair. Alex, of course, now leads it for the second time in his career, and Marc is going to win a lot more races this year. We know that. Everyone knows that. I think the big question is how many mistakes is he going to make along the way? Is he going to learn from them? That's the big thing, because like we've said, the 2 mistakes that he's made this year in Austin and then again here are 2 very different mistakes. So now we're going to see as we go throughout the European campaign whether he is going to learn from these mistakes or whether they may start to crop up again as the races come thick and fast. But on Pecco Bagnaia as well, we speak about championship contenders. Obviously, Alex is definitely in with a shout at taking Marc all the way and pushing him all the way this year, given the consistency that he's had wherever we've been. But Bagnaia, another tough day. We're going to hear from him shortly. I think you can go as far as saying that tomorrow's test here is arguably the most important of his MotoGP career, because he just has no feeling with this GP25. Wherever we go, whenever opportunities strike, Austin aside, he just hasn't been able to take advantage of them. Yes, it's strange to say about a rider that's only 20 points adrift on the lead of the World Championship, that's been on the podium in 8 out of 10 races, but 6 of those are third. And again today, he was really deflated in Parc Fermé, and you can understand why, because despite the quality, despite the talent of Fabio, Pecco shouldn't be getting beat by a Yamaha.
It was a carbon copy in some respects of the sprint yesterday, wasn't it? When he said yesterday, he got to within around half a second, 7/10 of a second of Alex Marquez yesterday. Fabio Quartararo today just couldn't do anything with it, just couldn't get the moves done on Fabio Quartararo. So third it is. I guess if your glass is half full for Pecco Bagnaia, and you trust that he is going to get stronger as the year goes on. Of course, the longer that we go, I guess that trust will start to run out. But Pecco Bagnaia has got to try and cling on to the hope that that feeling will return, because in what has been a very below par Bagnaia to this point, he's still only 20 or so points off the World Championship lead. In some respects, he's been let off the hook so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what the team will be telling him, that we've had 5 rounds so far this year, and at no point really have we seen the Pecco Bagnaia that we've seen in 2023 and 2024, but you're still right there. There is a lot of racing still to be had this season, and the good news for Bagnaia fans is I'm convinced they will find answers. He will turn it around, and we will see the best version of Bagnaia very soon indeed. When he does, it's going to make that championship very interesting.
He did finish on the podium. Let's get a word from Pecco Bagnaia on that explosive first lap and a podium finish for him today. He's with Matt.
Yeah, Pecco, it was a good weekend, a strong weekend, but you kind of just seem stuck in third place, really. Third on the grid, third in the sprint, and today third once again in the Grand Prix. How do you reflect on your weekend here in Spain?
I don't like races like this, honestly. I'm always giving my maximum, but every time I'm getting stuck behind someone, and I cannot close the gap. I was there fighting for this second place because Alex was already gone, and every time I was getting closer, I was needing to leave a bit because the front was closing, and I lost the front like 6 times, corner 8, 11, and 12, and 5. Many times, and I wasn't able to get closer, and it's something that luckily tomorrow we will try to understand. I think that what happened to Mark is this one, is that thing, because you cannot get closer. If you have the same pace as the riders in front of him or similar, you have this kind of problem. Every time you're getting closer and you think that the front is okay, you leave the brakes and you lose the front. So it's something that I'm trying to solve. I'm trying to explain also to the team that they are working a lot to help me. And luckily, like I said, tomorrow will be an important day.
Mark just said it was really the first time all weekend where he's been really stuck close behind other riders. I think he was behind you and Fabio when he crashed, and he feels that maybe is an explanation. So this is clearly a problem that you've been dealing with all throughout this season, so it's becoming a bit of a pain, isn't it?
It's something that difficult to solve. It's clear that Alex is not having this kind of problem, and if you compare this data with my data from last season, in this track is the same. He's doing a very similar things, and me and Mark we cannot. So we need to maybe change the balance of our bike to help us more. We have to say that Mark is very good on riding everything, but I'm struggling a bit more to do it. So maybe tomorrow we will do a step and we will understand what is happening.
Unbelievable first 2 laps. The Spanish fans really enjoyed it. I mean, how was it on the bike after another good battle in Jerez with Mark?
Was fun. Unluckily, it wasn't the last 2 laps and the last lap of the race, and because it was super good. But I think he was not expecting me to overtaking him in corner 9. But I improved a lot during the weekend in corner 8, so I was able to have a chance. And then he crossed my line. When we exit from corner 10, he was wheeling, and I cannot control the front, so we touched. So it was a good battle. Luckily, it was just very short and just in the first laps.
And just quickly, I mean, there has been a sense that you're getting a bit frustrated now with this issue that you've not been able to solve because it's clearly making you not as competitive as you like. So is it fair to say tomorrow, the Monday test here in Jerez, is arguably the biggest day of your season so far?
I hope so, that it's like this, and I hope that will be the big step we will have, because every session, every races, we did a little step, but we're not enough. So we need to continue like this. We need to do another one. We are not that far. Every races, the average lap time is under 2:10 by laps to the leaders. So we need to solve a little problem that can make a huge difference. So we will work for it.
Good luck tomorrow. Thanks, Pecco.
So difficult to overstate how important tomorrow is for Pecco Bagnaya's season. Of course, you can follow live timing on MotoGP.com. We'll have updates from the circuit. Kiko Giles will be here to bring you an update midway through the day. And, of course, interviews on MotoGP.com throughout the evening tomorrow. Pecco Bagnaya's Championship Challenge might hinge on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we said beforehand it's the biggest test of his MotoGP career so far, and he basically confirmed that there. It is the biggest day of his season so far tomorrow. And it's very interesting what we're seeing on the grid so far this year, because it's been well publicised that Pedro Acosta has moved back to the 2024 KTM. We spoke to Paolo Bonora at Aprilia throughout the weekend, and they said they're sort of leaning back towards some 2024 items as well, having not found the progress they've found. Well publicised over pre-season about Ducati's decision to stick with a lot of 2024 items. We understand that the progress in the 2025 machine is different in terms of the electronics, also with some rear aerodynamics as well. But if they don't find answers throughout the first half, 3/4 of the day tomorrow, Pecco Bagnaia surely is going to be saying to his team, just wheel in a 24 machine for me. Just give me the tools that I know will work, I know can work, looking at the World Championship, because the 2024 bike is leading it, and let me do the rest.
Yeah, because he won 11 Grand Prix on it last year. We will hear from Alex Marquez very, very shortly, so stay with us for reaction from your winner today. While we wait for Alex Marquez, Fabio Quartararo won the rider of the day. Alex Marquez, I guess, would have ran him close, but would Maverick Vinales have also been pretty high up in the voting? Fourth at the end of the race. We'll come on to him shortly because right on cue, Alex Marquez is ready to speak to us. Let's hear from your newest MotoGP winner. It's Alex Marquez with Matt Burt.
Yeah, I'm so pleased to say this, Alex Marquez, for the first time in your career. You're a MotoGP winner, and you did it here, Alex, of all places, in front of over 100,000 fans in Jerez. I'm sure it's just about starting to sink in right now. So how on earth do you describe what just happened out there this afternoon?
Now I'm more realistic in what happened today, honestly speaking, but in that moment in Parc-Fermé, in the podium, was like a mix of emotions, of being happy, really super happy, emotional thing, really emotion, to be here and to be in Jerez. If you ask to me where you want to win your first race, MotoGP race, I would say Jerez. I win here my first Moto2 and it was already super special, but MotoGP is like another level, you know, the crowd, the people. I get crazy in turn 9-10, so yeah, I just in the last lap making like this with the hand. You know, I think I did the perfect race in the perfect mood. And when I saw it, especially Mark crashing on 8, I say, Alex, today is your day. I mean, you cannot make like enough that you lose a really great opportunity. Today is your day. I did the overtaking and the move in the right moment, in the right places. And later on, I just put my rhythm and just I was trying to control the gap with Fabio. So super happy for that and super happy for the team also.
Crazy start to the race. I mean, you went pretty hard on the brakes into turn 6, somehow pick your way through Mark and through Pecco. So just talk us through that, what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, everybody today had like they wanted to be in the front because today was so important for the front tire, and everybody was a little bit crazy in that first laps and first corners. Also on turn 1 I had a contact with Mark and I said, hey, come on. And it's on turn 6, you know, I brake and I was trying to make the move to Mark inside. I was not sure about what will happen with my front because I was a little bit on the limit. So I saw it that was a gap between Mark and Pecco, and I just released a little bit the front brake, going wide and come back. So fortunately I don't lose a lot of time. I lose just the position with Maverick, but I recover in a good way. So happy for that didn't happen. And later on, you know, the move to Pecco on last corner, I already saw it this morning on the warm-up, that was there the point, and on Fabio was more like, okay, I have the opportunity, I go. Because in that point I started to be a little bit on the limit with the front pressure and front temperature, so I said, okay, this one is the opportunity, you need to make it.
Alex, you just said you managed the race perfectly. I just want to understand what was going through your mind in those last sort of 4 or 5 laps, when you're sort of 3 seconds clear, you can hear the noise of the crowd. I'm sure you can think about your parents waiting for you, the Grazzini team who've given you such a great opportunity. I mean, how hard was it to keep that focus and concentration?
Honestly speaking, 7 to the end, I was losing a little bit the concentration, you know. I was like thinking too much, what the team will start thinking now, the crown, all that. So I was a little bit, and I say, okay, Alex, try to make your rhythm. I push again. I was really comfortable on that pace that I was doing, just control them. And I was pushing, and for sure the team will say, why you push and you make the gap bigger? Because what's the best way to keep the concentration? Because if you start to release in some corners and some breaks and some break points, it's easier to crash with this bike. So I just keep trying to brake in a good way, not in a crazy one, but trying to make the things in the right way to not lose that concentration.
And how cool was that last lap through turns 9 and 10, waving to the crowd? We love that, we have to say. I think everybody around the world loved it.
The team know. They already say to me, why you make like this with the hand? I say, I mean, I was in Moto3 when I saw it, or I was not even on the championship, I think, when I saw Lorenzo doing that, and I say, fuck, if someday I'm there, I need to make that. So in Moto2 I had a really big gap, but I didn't have the balls to make it. So this time I said, okay, I need to do it. This opportunity maybe I will not have any more in my life, so I need to do it. The crowd deserved it, and it was a really nice moment.
Alex, just huge congratulations from
Thank
all
you.
of us. You are a MotoGP winner for the first time, back in the lead of the World Championship. Enjoy it. Have you got the day off tomorrow? Have you still got a test?
Yes. We don't have many items to try.
So you're going to be finished at lunchtime then, yeah?
Yeah, I think yes. You know, we'll go to eat in the Ventasteban or something like that. You know, a good jamon, a good tapa. But no, we have some work to do and we need to be concentrated.
Alex, awesome job. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, work to do, Alex. You've got a World Championship to fight for. You now lead it by a point once again from Marc Marquez. Yeah, we all loved his celebrations on the final lap. That day only comes around once, so Alex Marquez was certainly making sure he made the most of it. Of course, he's been so close so many times this year, second place on 8 previous occasions. Just how much is this going to elevate Alex Marquez now? The weight off his shoulders, he now knows he can do it. Surely this is going to unleash a whole new Alex Marquez.
Right, it's a quarter of a second, just like that. You just cannot describe what a relief it will be, a release as well, and the confidence it will give him. How often do you see it in this sport where a rider is waiting and waiting, is pushing like mad, and it just never comes, almost trying too hard. They get too tense in those big moments. One comes along, and everything just becomes so much more natural and easier for them. It will open the floodgates for Alex Marquez. He's going to win more races this year, and he definitely deserves some of the best jamon in the world tonight as well. Maybe 2 or 3 pieces of it, because that was a brilliant performance.
Yeah, although the owners of the restaurant that he name-checked there might be expecting a busy evening now that the Alex Marquez victory celebrations are going to be heading their way. We were going to talk about Maverick Vinales before Alex Marquez joined us, so let's return to him. Of course, didn't get to ultimately keep the points nor the podium trophy that he achieved in Qatar. This 4th place today is for keeps, and he could see the finish line. He could see the winners when he crossed the finish line, right in sight at the end.
I think you could go as far as saying that Maverick Vinales' 4th place finish today has more importance than the 2nd, 14th, whatever we want to call it, from 2 weeks ago in Qatar, because we spoke to him on Thursday. Every fan at home will know the tale of Maverick Vinales' career, the biggest enigma on the grid. He can be the best rider in the world one day and go missing the next. The fact that he's been able to confirm that result last time out by being the top KTM by a considerable margin again, by pushing the Ducatis, having more than just a couple behind him once again, brilliant from Maverick Vinales, and that will be a huge boost. We speak about the push that it will give to Yamaha, same for KTM as well, who have had a very, very turbulent past couple of months. The fact that he's been able to reconfirm everything that we saw in Qatar and show that it wasn't just one of those Maverick days will give them so much confidence for the rest of the year. But we said it in Qatar, we've got to say it again. I spoke to Akiayo ahead of the race about it as well. It's another huge kick up the backside for Brad Binder, who I think was impressive today and really sort of turned his weekend around. But for Pedro Acosta as well, beaten by Vinales, beaten by Binder. When there's so much talk around him, I think he's got to start looking within himself and has to start delivering, because at the moment, this isn't Pedro Acosta. This isn't the superstar rookie that took the championship by storm last year that everyone was so excited about. That spark, for whatever reason, isn't there at the moment, and he has to find it soon.
4th, 6th and 7th for that trio of KTMs that we discussed, Vinales, Binder and Acosta today. Fabio Di Giannantonio in between them in 5th. His teammate Frankie Morbidelli unfortunately crashing out after he was trying to recover from a very iffy first lap. He went wide at turn 2 on the first lap. We had one Gresini rider on the podium today. Had it not been for an unfortunate mistake at turn 6, might we have had 2?
Oh, your heart goes out to Fermin Aldeguer. I mean, the most rookie of rookie mistakes. And it happened again when opportunities have been there at the moment. He just doesn't have that last little bit of guile and that experience to get it over the line. And he'll be kicking himself tonight, because that was a big opportunity for Fermin. But once again, I feel like we're saying the same record. It is coming, ladies and gentlemen. His moment will come. When that is, we don't know. But huge signs of promise for Fermin Aldeguer, and again proving that Gigi Dall'Igna, he doesn't miss when it comes to getting his bike sorted. He hasn't missed when it comes to signing the right riders as well. The youngest rider on the grid, and he's proving his quality already.
One rookie did see the checkered flag today. Somkiat Chantra pulling out with arm pump. We wish him well. Maybe he will sit out the test tomorrow. We'll wait to find out on that. You'd imagine the chances of him riding tomorrow are diminishing. But Ayagura at the top of Aprilia across the line. 8th place in the end for Ayagura, top Aprilia. We already touched upon KTM and questions that they need to find answers for tomorrow. Aprilia, I guess, are in the same boat.
Yeah, huge day. It's difficult to criticise Aprilia too much, given everything that they've been through with Jorge Martin, and it's ifs and buts, and unfortunately they don't count for anything in this sport, in any sport. Would Jorge Martin have that Aprilia further up the grid if everything that had happened hadn't happened? I'm pretty sure it would be, but right now, yes, Aguirre is continuing to impress, but the big concern is they have to try and get Marco Bezzecchi feeling way more comfortable than he already is. He's sort of the opposite to what we've seen from Maverick Vinales in terms of those key riders that change manufacturers. Maverick was nowhere in testing and really looked quite lost, whereas Bezzecchi was very impressive, and we thought, wow, this is Bezzecchi returning to the form that saw him finish in front of the MotoGP riders out there fighting for wins week in, week out in 2023. But he has managed to find a little bit, but you feel he has to take another step tomorrow. And just finally, before we kick off the press conference, we might as well finish on Honda. Very, very promising in Qatar. Returned to Europe, and it's almost been roles reversed with Yamaha. And I think it was the statistic. It's now 9 DNFs in his last 11 for Joan Mir. Big questions have got to be asked of Mir. I mean, you don't mind a rider pushing, trying to get a result, but 9 of the last 11 for a factory Honda rider. I'm sure Alberto Puig will be having a word in his ear, because that's not good enough. You've got to see the checkered flag more often than that. You've got to start scoring some points.
Yeah, he joined Fermin Aldeguer in the Turn 6 club, unfortunately, this afternoon. As you can see, the top 3 riders are taking their places ready for the press conference. If you're watching us live on MotoGP.com, that is coming right up. If you're watching us elsewhere, we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. An incredible event. We have to finish on the extraordinary support that MotoGP had here at the Spanish Grand Prix this weekend. Over 100,000 fans packed into Jerez and made this an iconic afternoon of action. Le Mans, it's over to you, and I'm sure the French fans will deliver. Alex Marquez heads there as the World Championship leader and a MotoGP Grand Prix winner. Thanks for watching.